Hi everyone, Amer here again with another Mission Impossible episode review. This time I'm going to be reviewing Season 1, Episode 18, which is called The Trial. So we start this one with Dan going to an architect's office for instructions. The mission: stop Joseph Varsh, chief of secret police in an Iron Curtain country, from heating up the Cold War through his plan to put an American through a kangaroo court for a crime that he didn't commit. Joseph Varsh is played by Carol O'Connor, who will go on to, of course, be Archie Bunker in All in the Family. Dan chooses Rollin and Willie alongside himself for the mission. Interestingly, he tosses Cinnamon's dossier in the discard pile. I almost thought for a moment, it's like, wait a minute, Cinnamon's not in this, but apparently she somehow or other, it's a little bit weird how that one went. Probably taken from a previous episode and just changed or cut or whatever, hoping people wouldn't notice. So Dan indicates that he will be the American put on trial by Varsh. They're going to kind of give him this kind of Trojan horse gift. And he's going to use a lady named Lisa Gorin as part of the plan. Lisa used to be married to an American agent, but she betrayed him to Varsh and is now involved with Varsh. So Dan, once they get to whatever country they're going to, it's not named, Dan calls Lisa asking for her dead husband, Stephen. He says he has a gift for Stephen, and he drops Stephen's code name of Frederick. He says he'll be in a hotel cafe in 30 minutes. Lisa calls Varsh, who advises her to meet the man and find out what he wants. He sends his deputy Barsky to join Lisa at the cafe. So Lisa heads out, and Rollin sneaks into her apartment. He gets a good look at her correspondence, including finding evidence of her relationship with Varsh. Dan does not show himself to Lisa at the cafe, instead giving her phone a ring as she leaves to tip Rollin off that she's coming back. And it appears that this whole thing was just a way to get Lisa out of her place for a little while. Dan calls Lisa again the next day and stays on the line long enough for the call to be traced this time. Varsh and Barsky identify him as an American scientist named Benton. Benton has visited an area near an important dam. And this is important because this is part of the evidence that Varsh will use in order to pin something on Barton. They put one of their men to trail Dan, but Willie runs some interference so that Dan can lose the guy and meet briefly with Rollin, who appears to be making a Dan mask for some reason. Rollin as Dan then visits Lisa, who invites him in and then calls Stephen, actually Varsh. Meanwhile, the real Dan goes to talk to Deputy Premier Kudnov to discuss soil conditioning because he's come into the country ostensibly as an agricultural guy. The clock rings 9 p.m. for both Dans. At Lisa's apartment, the buzzer rings. Rollin as Dan jumps out the window onto a truck being driven by Willie, leaving behind a briefcase in which Varsh finds a hidden car key. They search Dan's hotel room. They find a microfilm, and they also find explosives in the car in which the key fits. Dan is arrested for attempted sabotage. They believe that he was going to blow up the dam. Rollin, as himself, now appears as Dan's lawyer and is able to visit Briggs in jail. Varsh presents his opening argument to the court, telling us that the microfilm contained blueprints of the dam. The court allows the trial to proceed basically as you would expect, with somewhat of a slant towards the prosecution. During the trial, Kudnov comes to see Varsh and tells him that he will tell the court that Benton was with him at the time in question, because he was. Varsh interrogates Dan about Kudnov's involvement and gets no information. Ruling out having Dan have an accident in jail as being too suspicious, Barsky and Varsh decide their best course of action is to prevent Kudnov from testifying. Rollin, already knowing that this is what they will think, visits Kudnov's home to warn him of what Varsh will try to do. Kudnov doesn't believe it, so Rollin arranges a demonstration by putting a statue with a light behind it, rotating on a turntable near Kudnov's window to simulate somebody walking around. Barsky's man Plantinov takes a shot at the figure, confirming Rollin's story, to Kudnov's surprise. The next morning, Varsh rests his case and asks for the death penalty. Barsky tells Varsh that they haven't found Kudnov's body, which worries the prosecutor. Rollin cross-examines Lisa and pokes holes in her story, such as how Dan seems to have jumped out her third-story window without a scratch, and producing the picture of Lisa and Varsh together in an embrace and a romantic letter between them. But Varsh tries to pass it off as him just using Lisa to get information, which brings her to tears. Roland asks for a recess, and Willie enters the courtroom to take the place of one of the guards. Roland heads to the bathroom, trailed by Plantinov, as Kudnov appears as a janitor. Roland returns to the courtroom and takes a stand, weirdly, and then Roland appears at the courtroom door. Turns out the first Roland was actually Kudnov wearing a mask. Kudnov explains that he felt his life was at risk to appear in court, necessitating the shenanigans, and tells the court that he was with Benton at 9 p.m. on the night in question, and that Varsh tried to have him killed. The judge has no choice but to dismiss the charges and put Varsh under arrest. Mission accomplished. I'm going to give this episode a grade of a B-. Some of the good things. No doubt, the first thing I have to talk about is the tremendous performance of Carroll O'Connor. It is difficult to see, for me to look at him and see anybody other than Archie Bunker. But he manages to pull it off here. There still is a little bit of kind of that whole attitude about him getting, really, really agitated in the way that Archie Bunker would. You can kind of see a little bit of that here if you're familiar with the All in the Family program. But again, fantastic performance by Carroll O'Connor. He fits the role really well, plays it really well. He's a good adversary for the team. Also good, Gail Colby as Lisa is really, really, really great in this episode. The courtroom scene where Varsh characterizes their relationship as him just using her for information is just absolutely heartbreaking to me. The tears seem real. I watched it again, and I literally wanted to just kind of go through the screen and just give her a hug and say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry he treated you that way." Because it's one of those things that if he's just saying it to protect his own position, that's terrible. If he means it, that's even more terrible, right? Like, there's no good way to spin that. And she's just crushed, and I really, really feel it. Also, just the court scenes in general, I actually found to be quite good. Visually, I thought that they were quite good. Even if we know what's going to happen in the end, the way it's kind of laid out, I think it's actually pretty well done. It's a lot better than many episodes in which we have similar kinds of court scenes. Not so good, not bad, not terrible, but not so good. This is kind of a predictable plot. We know that the IMF is going to win in the end, and it seems pretty clear after this kind of the two Dans. We don't know all the details maybe, but we do know that okay, they're going to use that in order to kind of pull this off. Another thing I didn't like, Michael Strong, who plays Barsky, the second in command, is kind of wasted. He plays the second in command in a lot of episodes, and in this one he's kind of overshadowed by Carroll O'Connor a little bit, more than a little bit. As I mentioned, O'Connor's histrionic sometimes when he gets agitated. They're really, really over the top, and I think Michael Strong is wasted a little bit. Where it really kind of gets on me again is those whole discussions they have about, oh my God, if Kudnov gets in that courtroom, he'll destroy you. You'll be destroyed. Oh my God, yeah, I know. It's like, oh gosh, okay, enough already, right? I mean, we get it. You have to say it once. It's kind of like in the previous episode, The Frame, where the bad guys are talking over and over again. Boy, I don't think it's a good idea. This isn't a good idea. I don't like it. Okay, we get it. So yeah, that repetitive dialogue isn't so it does bring it down a little bit. But again, a good solid episode, not great, but a good solid episode here. Overall, the episode works, even though it is somewhat predictable. So that's the end of my review. Thanks again for tuning in. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Look forward to reading your comments as always, and I'll see you next time.